My late mother's voice just echoed through an empty room, telling my late father a secret about an aunt I never knew existed. They've been dead for 3 months. This house is showing me everything they hid. Sarah's hands trembled as she tore down the faded yellow wallpaper in the living room. Beneath layers of dust and time, she could almost feel her childhood slipping through her fingers. Then she heard it. Laughter. Her mother's laughter, crystal clear, echoing from nowhere and everywhere at once. She dropped the scraper, her breath caught in her throat. "Mom?" she whispered to the empty room. Silence answered her. Sarah pressed her palm against the wall, heart pounding. She'd returned to her childhood home 3 days ago, keys still warm from the lawyer's hand, her parents' death still a fresh wound that wouldn't stop bleeding. The house stood exactly as she remembered it, frozen since the day she'd left at 12 years old. She picked up the scraper again, hands steadier now. Grief played cruel tricks, that's all this was, but then the voices came again. "We can't afford this anymore, Michael." Her mother's voice, sharp with worry. "I'll figure it out, Diana. I always do." Her father, defensive, tired. Sarah stumbled backward, knocking over a paint can. The voices stopped. She stood there, paint pooling at her feet, mind racing. These weren't memories. These were conversations she'd never heard. Arguments that happened behind closed doors after she'd been sent to bed. She moved to the dining room the next day, determined to push through. The old oak table sat covered in white sheets, waiting. As Sarah pulled them away, dust particles danced in the afternoon light. "Just this one deal, Diana. One more, and we're set." Her father's voice erupted. "That's what you said about the last one, and the one before that." Her mother's response cut through the air like a knife. "Daddy had business trips," Sarah said aloud, remembering. "He was always working." "Failed ventures, Michael. Failed dreams that drain our savings." Her mother's voice cracked. "What happens when there's nothing left?" Sarah sank into one of the dining chairs. Her perfect childhood, the one she'd wrapped herself in like a security blanket, began to unravel. They'd been struggling, drowning maybe, and she'd never known. The bedroom was next, her parents' bedroom, the one she'd avoided for days. Sarah stood at the doorway, unable to cross the threshold. The bed was still made. Her mother's reading glasses still sat on the nightstand. She forced herself inside. "We need to tell her." Her mother's voice, softer now, intimate. "Tell her what? That her aunt existed? That your sister died and we never spoke of her?" Her father's reply came heavy with old grief. Sarah's legs gave out. She sat on the floor, surrounded by boxes she'd been too afraid to open. An aunt. She'd had an aunt. She was too young to understand addiction, Michael. Too young to see what it did to our family. And now, when does she get to know the truth? When she's old enough to understand that some secrets are kept out of love, not shame. Sarah ripped open the nearest box. Photographs spilled out. A woman who looked exactly like her mother. Same smile, same eyes, but hollow, empty. In photo after photo, the woman faded until she disappeared from the collection entirely. "Why didn't you tell me?" Sarah screamed at the empty room. "Why did you hide her?" But she knew. Even as tears streamed down her face, she understood. They'd been protecting her, building walls around her childhood so she could grow up feeling safe even when they didn't. She found herself in her old bedroom that evening. The pink wallpaper she'd begged for still clung to the walls. Her bookshelf still held the same stories. Sarah sat on her childhood bed and waited. The echo came like a whisper. "Mommy, why are you crying?" Her own voice, small and afraid. "I'm not crying, sweetheart. Just tired." Her mother lying. "Are we going to be okay?" A pause. Then her mother's voice, thick with determination. "Yes, baby, we're going to be just fine." But outside the door, her parents' voices dropped low. The bank called again. Her father. "How long do we have?" Her mother. 3 months. Maybe 4 if I can negotiate. "She can't know, Michael. Promise me she won't know." "I promise. She'll never feel unsafe. Not while I'm breathing." Sarah pressed her fist against her mouth, muffling a sob. They'd been about to lose the house. Her house, the one place she'd always felt completely secure. And they'd carried that weight alone, smiling through dinner, tucking her in at night, making her believe the world was steady when their own ground was crumbling. The attic was her last stop. Boxes stacked upon boxes, a museum of a life she'd only half understood. Sarah pulled down dusty containers, searching for something, anything that would make sense of it all. She found letters, dozens of them, all addressed to her, all in her mother's handwriting, all unsent. "My dearest Sarah," the first one began, "if you're reading this, I'm gone, and you're finally old enough to understand. Your father and I made choices, some good, some terrible, all made with you in mind. We kept secrets, yes, but never to hurt you, always, always to protect you." Sarah's hands shook as she read. "Your aunt, my sister, she struggled with demons we couldn't fight for her. Watching her fade nearly destroyed me. Your father's business failures nearly broke him. The house, this house, we almost lost it a dozen times. But we never told you because childhood is sacred, Sarah. It's the only time in life when you get to believe the world is good and your parents have all the answers." The letter continued, her mother's words reaching across death itself. "We wanted you to have that, to feel completely, utterly safe, even when we weren't, especially when we weren't. That was our gift to you, an unburdened childhood, and I'd make the same choice 1,000 times over." Drop a comment below if you've ever discovered something about your parents that changed everything. You're not alone in this. Sarah climbed down from the attic, letter clutched in her hand. One room remained, the study. Her father had built it after she'd left for college, a room that didn't exist in her childhood memories. She opened the door. No echoes greeted her here, only silence and the smell of old books. Sarah found his journal on the desk, leather worn, and filled with his careful handwriting. She read through years of entries, entries about missing her, about being proud of her graduation, her first job, her life built far from this house. And then the final entry, dated a week before his death. "Sarah's coming home for Christmas. Diana won't be here to see it, but I will. I hope she remembers the laughter more than the struggles. I hope she knows that every secret we kept out of love. I hope she forgives us for being human." Sarah closed the journal. The house was quiet now. No more echoes, no more voices from the past. Just her, standing in her father's study, finally understanding. They'd been imperfect, flawed, struggling, and they loved her with a fierceness that demanded sacrifice. She spent the next week finishing the restoration. Each room transformed, fresh paint covering old wounds, new fixtures honoring old memories. The house became beautiful again, not as it was, but as it could be. On the final day, Sarah stood in the living room where it had all begun. She decided to keep the house, not as a shrine to the past, but as a home for the future, a place where imperfect love had built something lasting. "Thank you," she said to the empty rooms. "Thank you for the childhood you gave me. Thank you for carrying the weight so I didn't have to. Thank you for being human enough to struggle and strong enough to hide it." A breeze moved through the house, though no windows were open. And then, so faint she might have imagined it, a whisper. "We're proud of you, sweetheart." Sarah smiled, tears streaming down her face. She walked to the front door, hung a hand-painted sign that read "Welcome Home," and looked back one last time. The house looked back at her, filled with echoes that no longer haunted, only reminded. Reminded her that love isn't perfect, that parents are people, that the greatest gift is sometimes the illusion of safety, maintained by those who love you enough to carry the truth alone. She locked the door behind her, knowing she'd return tomorrow, and the day after that. Because this wasn't just her childhood home anymore. It was her inheritance of love, wrapped in secrets that no longer needed keeping. Sometimes the truth doesn't set us free. It shows us we were always held by love, even when we didn't know it. If you stayed up till this point, then this is your story. Now, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories that dig deep into the human heart. Share in the comments what secrets your own family kept and whether understanding them changed how you see your past. The echoes have spoken. Now it's your turn to listen.